is a great lesson. I love it. It's going to help open up the entire fretboard. We're using the cage system. We're getting into major 7s and dominant 7s. Let's get started. I'm going to start on my D chord. I just think it's really beneficial to visualize one of my favorite components of the cage system is how the C and the D positions blend into each other, right? Using the bottom 3 strings actually. So if I have my D right here, great, got my D chord, cool. That would obviously be my D shape of a D, right? Now, if I want to go into my C shape of a D chord, I'm still using those 3 notes on my bottom 3 strings. That sort of becomes where my C, if I take my C, where those bottom 3 strings are like 0, 1, and 0, and I move those up 2 frets, well, I got to bring those zeros with me too, right? So that 1 moves up 2 frets, and the 0 moves up 2 frets. There you go. 2, 3, 2, just like a D, right? And then I can fit in the rest of my C shape. And if you look, it's just a C moved up 1, 2 frets, and where my pinky is the root note. So now I have a D here and a D here. Perfect. I love that. It's a little easier to visualize that bridging with the actual D chord itself. Now, how the C form, right? My C form of my D and my D form of my D, C form of my D chord, it's going to get a little difficult at times, can move very nicely into my A form, all right? And that A form is also very comfortable. It's our usual bar chord, right? Just taking that A shape, basically, my A shape, and bringing it up to my D. Awesome. So now I have D, C shape, A shape of my D chord. The next one, I love this one. We're gonna take the 7, 7, 7 on my 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. That's going to be the bridge into my G shape. I'm gonna form the G shape. It's pretty hard to play everything all together, but that would be my G, okay? It'd be like if I had my G and I brought it all the way up, that's my G note. So I want to bring it all the way up until that note is a D. That's the root note of the chord. Now, the only thing is I need to bring those zeros up with it, right? So that's where we sort of get this. 10, 9, 7, 7, 7, 10, okay? Why that is important to focus on the 7, 7, 7 is that's my 7, 7 there. All right, so that is my G shape. The G shape shows me where the root note is for my D to bring me nicely into my E shape, right? Which is just my regular old full 6-string major bar chord with the root note on that low E string, right? Awesome. So D, right, gives me that shape, those bottom 3 strings in my C. Awesome. That is my root note, right? My C shape, that's my root note, which is a D, which perfectly just brings me right into the A form of a D chord, right? My root note right there, just like it would be for an A. Bring all that up, right? Now, taking the 7, 7, 7, or wherever my 3rd finger is, or if you play your bar chords like that, those 3 notes, becomes the back, almost the capo end, right? My 0 is here, bringing that root note up to the D, the 10th fret on my top E string. It gives me that right there. And then since I know that that is my root note right there, I can move nice and easily into my E shape, right? I love it. I love it. Very quickly, because I started on a D and I started in an open position. Let's start on C, actually. I really like this idea. I'm going to start on this C. There's a reason. I'm not going to start with the open chord. I don't want to start on an open chord, okay? I'm going to start on a bar chord. C in this shape, okay? Got it. C in my A shape. I'm going to do the same thing, right? I'm going to use those 3 notes, now my 5, 5, 5, as the back end, almost the capo for my G shape. And if you look, boom, there I am, 8th fret. That's a C. C note. Cool, I got that. That will give me the root note for my E shape, right? Nice big 6-string bar chord right there. Cool. All right, now this is where it will get interesting. Specifically why I wanted to do it in this particular order is getting from my E shape, right, my regular old bar chord, I'm gonna take these two strings, and those are gonna help me figure out the D shape, all right? How I'm going to do that is, I'm going to think like I have my D open chord, and I'm gonna play those two strings open, right? The A and the D string are gonna be open for that, right? Like you can get that, that sounds great, but if I add that fifth string in there too, all right, I can get that in there, right? That's part of the chord. That is what I'm going to bring up. Those two parallel open strings, the A and the D, are now gonna move up, and that's going to help me find it. If you notice where my pinky is the root note, just like that fourth string is the root note of a D, all right? That's important. So I have those two. So if I'm going to build my C shape, it's 10, 10, 12, 13, 12, and I can sort of get it in here, okay? Little awkward, like 10, 12, or 10, 10, 12, 13, 12. Cool. And just like we did in the first part of our D example, that, look what I have here, 12, 13, 12, just like open one, open, we got it right there, and that'll bring me right into my C shape of a C. That's how we can use these shapes to form up and into the next shape of that chord, right? There's always something from the previous chord that we can use to get us up. That is the hardest one, going from the E, right? It almost seems like we're at the end of the line. We use that root note or those two parallels, and we can get into this kind of awkward D shape. If you look, just like a D, all right? And then I'm taking those two opens, my A and my D open, and I'm bringing it all the way up here. Those two notes right out of my E shape, okay? And then, of course, when I have that, that is the bottom end of my C shape, okay? I love that. That just helps kind of guide us through the neck. Let's get into the major sevens and the dominant sevens. All right, let's start with the D example, right? Move that up as a major seven. I really like this, D. All right, if I take that as my D note, my octave, and I'm just gonna bring it down to a natural seven. So I have a 0 on my fourth string or my fifth string, if I want to put it in there, if I want it over A, right? Having that fifth in there. And then just 2, 2, 2. That's my major seven, okay? That is gonna become very convenient as we're moving this upwards. What we're doing is we're finding the octave of the root note and bringing it down one half step or one fret, and that is going to give us our major seven. I love the C shape form of a major seven, and that would be this. I already have my 2, 2, 2, just like I took that and used that as a guide to get to my C shape of a D, right? It's the same thing, except I'm gonna bring my finger up because I wanted the 2, 2, 2 down here. I personally love that chord. I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. I think it's a fantastic voicing. Awesome. Now, that is my D, my root note. I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna play my A, but there's my octave right here, my 7th fret of my G string. So I'm gonna bring that down to the 6th fret. So now I have this, a 5, 7, 6, 7, and then a 5 down there on the bottom. Cool? All right, now this is where it gets tricky. We have to go back up to this 7, 7, 7 to give us our G shape like we did before. Check this out. I have my octave right here on my bottom string, my D. I can bring that down one fret to a 9. Now, when I play it, I do not play the top E or the A string. I'll play it like this. Or I'll even play it, times I'll put the 3rd in there, the 9th fret of my A string. Just because this is gonna be way too hard. I mean, this as a whole, like if I wanted to play a full G form, I should say, of a D without a capo, that's gonna get a little tricky, right? So there we go. I like that voicing. Then if I get back to my root note here, I have my E shape. I'm taking my octave, my D, bringing it down 1. So now it's gonna look like this. I'm not gonna play my A string. So now I'm gonna have, instead of 10, 12, 12, 11, 10, 10, 10, nothing, muted. 11, 11, 10. Nothing on the bottom string either. Right, nice little major 7 there. I really like this one, actually works pretty well. Remember when I was like down here and I had to slide those 2 parallel strings up, right? So now if I'm on my D, I have 12, 12, right, for my D, my E shape of a D. And I got 12, 12, and then instead of trying to do this weird thing, I can do 12, 12, 14, 14, 14, which is exactly where we started as far as the open strings taking hold of the 12s. Right? Really cool. I love it. Use those forms as you will. Go back, try to find them with some of the some different chords, right? It doesn't have to be D, obviously. Let's get into the dominant 7 of a C shape. All right, so if I just start with this C, cool, and I'm just going to do a full-on C7, right? So that's with your pinky finger on the 3rd fret of that G string. Cool. Now, when I go to my A form of a C, my regular old, sort of C bar chord, I'm gonna bring this down 2 frets. That's what we're doing. We're finding the octave and we're bringing down 2 frets or 1 whole step. And then I have this 3, 5, 3, 5, and then I can put a 3 in the bottom there. Cool. Now when I go up, I'm gonna need those 5, 5, 5s just to bridge me into my G shape of a C right here. So how I'm gonna do that is instead of just 1 fret down like I did for the major 7, 2 frets down. Now that form is great. I can put this here if I want to make it in an inversion and put it over my 3rd. But I can do that with this chord too, right? I could put, instead of having the octave here, down 2 frets for that shape of a C7, I could do a regular C bar chord and put it there. So you notice that that'll bridge us from that into this C, this like G7 form of a C, C7. If I can even get it. Also, the guitar is like really hard to play. Then that's my root note, so I have my E. So I can just do my E7, which is bringing my pinky completely off. All right, that's pretty cool. That works. Now, same thing here. When I take those 2 parallel strings, right, I'm gonna bring them up, and then I have my 10, 10, 12, and then that's my root note, right? That's my C right there. I'm gonna bring it down 2 frets. So now I have 10, 10, 12, 11, 12. Right, that's a nice little C7. Now, of course, you don't need that note if you don't want it there. You can just make it right there. That's my C, it's my octave. Right, and then finally that sort of just brings me back up to that regular old C shape right there. Check it out. All right, I hope that made sense. You can fragment those chords all you'd like. What I mean by that is you don't have to play all of the root notes and the 3s and the 5s and the flat 7s. You could break the chords up, depending on what the rest of the orchestration of the band is doing. But what I really like about that is it helps us visualize the guitar neck and not just sticking to triads when we start visualizing the neck as a whole, but also finding out where those major 7s are and where those dominant 7s are. This becomes so crucial in unlocking the entire fretboard. Enjoy.